Team Limerick Clean-Up is taking place right around Limerick City and County. The hours from 10 to 1, and from what we can gather, just about every community across the city and county is involved. Over 10,000 volunteers have registered, and there's a great social dimension to it as well, and an appropriate day for it to take place too. And to help us launch it this morning, I'm delighted to welcome to the studio three of the most recognisable names in Ireland in any field, whether it's sport, business, you name it. Paul O'Connell, JP McManus and AP McCoy. And gents, you're all very welcome. Thanks very much for coming in this morning and helping us to launch a very special morning and afternoon. JP, I know this is a brainchild of yours and Paul's and Helen O'Donnell too, who we've had in the studio talking about it. What about the reaction to it though?
Well, the reaction has been phenomenal. Helen and Paul have done Trojan work. Paul is a wonderful ambassador for it, and he's got a great following, both young and old, and it gathered its own momentum then, and with the help from our media partners, Live 95 Limerick and the Limerick Leader. So they played an enormous part in it and helped to keep the drive on. And it's more like people have volunteered to do it rather than being asked to do it, which is very special.
Mm. And there's a social dimension as well, isn't there? Because people are going to get together after the clean-up in different parts of the city and county today.
This is something that's been coordinated with Jenny Walsh and Helen O'Donnell. And there's 60 locations within the city and county where people will go and have a cup of tea and maybe have a chat afterwards. So, it's a very, very special day where we'll bring a lot of communities and neighbours together who will probably be meeting for the first time. So,
yeah. And like all ideas, it's simple but effective.
That's the way it seems. And there's great satisfaction in it, and Limerick people are marvellous. And once the leadership from Paul and Helen and whatever, they got him behind them, and it was always going to work.
Mm. And you've even managed to get the monks of Glenstall involved. You're going down to the river in a few minutes, aren't you?
Yeah, well, they're very easily to get involved. Father Simon down there, Father Anthony, they're very enthusiastic, and Father Simon out there in Glenstall, he's got the great following in the Maru-Boher area. I think there's about 700 volunteers out there alone. So, it's a big thing, and it's a great community and great leadership by the people. But, it's driven by the people rather than being pushed. They want to be part of it. And when it's over, we're going to have a commemorative a souvenir book where we'll hopefully have all the names and addresses of everybody who takes part, and it'll be something for people to show to their grandkids in years to come. So,
you want people to text, don't you, to a special number?
Absolutely. If they can text their name, address, and to be sure they're included. We don't want anybody left out.
Yeah. When you think about the work that's going to be done today, Paul, right across the city and county, and I was describing it during the week as something of a patchwork in that one will connect to the other, and hopefully by 1 o'clock we'll have the cleanest city and county in the country.
Yeah, I suppose that's the plan. As you said, it's very, very simple. It's running from 10 to 1, but if people can show up for a half an hour, it's well and good, or an hour, well and good. And it's just about the big part of it for me is getting young kids out and adults showing leadership and saying, look, this is what we do, this is what you need to do. As I said, my fella, when I spoke to you last time, my little boy Paddy I was tearing up newspaper this morning in the kitchen, throwing it on the kitchen floor so he could practice with the picker, because it's kind of difficult to use when you're only 5. So he was practicing this morning and getting ready to go out, and these are habits for a lifetime for him. And as I said, hopefully, with the JP Benevolent Fund, this can run for many years to come, and hopefully in 10 or 11 years Paddy is still taking part in it, and the habits he's picking up are almost second nature, and that's the big thing from an event like this. You end up with a group of people that taking pride in the city and county and looking after it is second nature. It's not something they even give a second thought to.
Yeah, and I know you made the point the last time you were with us that, it would be great to get national profile from this too, and you were saying it depended on the numbers. I'm sure we have over 10,000 taking part.
Yeah, it's incredible. The numbers are incredible. I think Limerick now is seen as a real innovative place in this regard, and it's I guarantee you now other counties, other cities will follow us. They look to us for ideas on how we did it and how we did it so well. There's a control room today with about 10 people in it, making sure the whole day is a real as well as being really well ran, that it's a real safe and healthy day as well. So yeah, it's brilliant, and I was on the radio yesterday. I know JP was on this morning, and people are really interested in how so many people have volunteered and gotten involved. I suppose that's a big thing with JP as well. No one seems to harness volunteerism like him, and when there's any group involved. So yeah, it's an exciting day.
Yeah. Tony, good to see you, and you're welcome to Limerick as always.
Thank you.
Why have you decided to help out today?
Well, for those reasons. There's a lot of reasons why I'm here. Obviously, I'm retiring in 3 weeks, and I thought maybe that the chances of the prospects of getting a job working for the Limerick Council in 3 weeks' time mightn't be a bad idea. If tidying up Limerick and having a high vis vest, it might be the way forward. I might be coming back to live here. So, if I can't get a job, but that, yeah, and as Paul says, look, it's a great initiative. Obviously, not just for Limerick, but for Ireland. Like, Limerick really could be the leader in this, really, in getting people out with this idea. And if you've got young people, for instance, everyone will look up to someone like Paul O'Connell, and having him involved is a great interest. And will make young people coming out. So there's always the reasons why I'm coming out. But maybe mainly because I might be looking for a job in 3 weeks' time, and working in the council mightn't be a bad idea. But it is a great initiative. It's something that if you say you get 10,000 people or more out today, it just shows you the people and the goodwill behind it. So it's a great idea.
And we'd like you to text us, please, 53095 for 20 cent. Let us know where you are and how in your area the Team Limerick Clean-Up is doing. But JP, I think Paul mentioned it briefly there, safety is paramount here. So people on the roads today should be aware that there'll be a lot more pedestrians than normal.
Absolutely. And could I also mention that the cooperation of Mr. Binman and Joe Cleary, they've done Trojan work here. There was no problem too big for them. They were willing and able to do it, and nothing was a problem. It was a pleasure to talk and deal with them. They were so cooperative and helpful. Also in the council office, you've Sinead MacDonald and Paul Foley and James and John, two young men there who helped enormously with the programme, and full marks to them all. I think they haven't had much family life for the last month, so fair play to them.
They've been working hard. Tony, I was thinking, read a great interview with you in the Limerick Leader by Alan English, that they'll never put you on a poster as an advertising campaign for the joys of retirement, because I don't think I've ever come across anyone less looking forward to it than you are.
No, I'm very lucky, and as Paul said, anyone that can live their life through sport, I feel in some ways that I haven't done a day's work in my life. Well, definitely not since I left Jim Bulger's in 1994, whatever. I don't think I've done a day's work since then. But I think if you can live your life through sport, which I've done for the last 20 odd years, it's not really work. It's a hobby that you're lucky enough to get paid to do. And I love what I do, and it's going to be tough. But it's one of those things that I've been lucky enough that this would be my 20th year being champion jockey, and I don't know where sometimes the fear of not being successful sometimes outweighed the enjoyment of winning, maybe sometimes, but I definitely always knew that it was gonna, if I was lucky enough, that it would happen this way,
And is this going to be your last weekend on an Irish racetrack? Yeah,
this week, and I'm going to be in Ferryhouse on Sunday and Monday, and that will be the end. I would like to have possibly carried on to Punchestown, but it's kind of starts in the new season in England, and I've been based in England for the last 21 years, so I think it's right that I should retire at the end of that season, and therefore the Ferryhouse is going to be the end, sadly.
Yeah, and it could be a special weekend at the Entry Grand National too. You'd keep the fingers crossed for that, I presume.
Yeah, obviously I'm riding shut the front door for JP. He's got a good chance. He won Irish Grand National last year, and it is the Grand National. There's 40 runners. You need a lot of luck, and but John Joe O'Neill, who trains him, is brilliant with horses for those staying races, as his record in them suggests. So there's no one better preparing him for that. But it is the Grand National. But we're hopeful.
Yeah, JP, what would you say about Tony and his career and your relationship with him?
Well, he's a very, very special person, both on and off the racetrack. He's carries his heart on his sleeve. Myself, Noreen, and the family, we've grown very, very fond of AP, and I get pleasure every day he rides a winner, whether it's for us or for anybody else. And sometimes I record the races just to see how he got on during the day if I'm not able to tune in.
Keeping an eye on me.
But the level of courage, the level of courage for any jockey, JP, as you well know, but this man, I don't know.
Yeah, they get very badly paid jockeys. Somebody said, it's the one game job where you have a couple of ambulances following you around, so it's not a great indication of the risks. But
I think I'd rather do my job than run into Paul O'Connell all the same. So I would.
Yeah, I didn't really agree with that, but a brave guy, Paul, Tony, and jockeys in general.
Oh yeah, big time. A few of the guys in the rugby are big into horse racing, and Fergus McFadden, actually, who plays with Leinster, it's his goal is to get onto second captains live on TV to put Tony up at number one, put AP up at number one, because he's that big a fan. He's always tweeting at AP. You know Fergus?
I do, yeah.
So he's
got one fan, Paul. Eh?
Yeah, highly respected, and just a hard man. He's I think that's what probably I admire most about him, and people admire most about him, is his will to win, and his kind of right keen attitude to horse racing. He's just, I think that there is no harder man in horse racing than AP McCoy.
No, that's for sure.
I must also mention that Joe, that AP is very sympathetic to horses also. While he might be hard and he gets the best out of them, he's very sympathetic and very caring about his animals.
Yeah. And if you don't love the game and the animal, then, you're not going to stay in it as long as you have.
Yeah, I think that's why all jockeys get involved, because as a kid you grow up, as a kid I spent more time with the ponies and the horses, looking after them, than I did anyone else, probably with people. It's probably why I'm better with horses than I am with people, but you grow up with them as a kid. They're your friend, they're your pet. That's why you get involved. It's not really, the racing becomes second. The racing comes afterwards, because it's something that interests you, and the adrenaline and the competitiveness of it. But in the whole, most jockeys get involved because they grow up as kids, growing up with their ponies as pets, and at the end of the day, it's kind of for the love of horses you get involved, really.
Right, well, we're getting some lovely texts in about you guys and about the Team Limerick Clean-Up. We'll take a short break and spend a few more minutes with you before you head down to the river to officially launch today's Team Limerick Clean-Up. Over 10,000 volunteers taking part right across Limerick City and County, which is in and of itself an extraordinary achievement.